By the end of this video, you're gonna know why this Hasselblad 120mm macro lens is so important and unique amongst the other V-mount series lenses. And also why you should add this one to your bag. And at the end of the video, I'll even share how you can save a few bucks doing so. So let's start by going over a few shortcomings that this lens has, as there really are only a few. Well, for starters, the maximum aperture is f4, so that's as wide as this lens will open. But for medium format, that is still pretty good, and the fact that you can get in pretty close makes it so that this lens still does give pretty good compression and bokeh, but I'll get into that in a minute. So another shortcoming with this lens is its magnification ratio in regards to its macro status. It is 1 to 4.5. Now, a true macro lens has a reproduction of 1 to 1. Now, with extension tubes, you can get the ratio better, but as it sits, I really don't consider this a macro lens. And lastly, for landscape work, it has been reported that this lens suffers slightly from edge-to-edge sharpness, though I use it quite often and I have never noticed any real issue in that regard. Okay, before I dive into the good stuff, aka why this lens, in my opinion, is the GOAT, smash that subscribe button. If you want to become a better photographer, I am putting out videos like this every week and you're not going to want to miss them. So on to the good stuff. This is a beautifully designed Carl Zeiss lens. It says here, made in Germany. And it was made for Hasselblad of Sweden, specifically their bayonet V-mount system. It is one of the best lenses for the classic 500 series camera. As a macro planar design, it was designed to focus close, but it's also really superb for portraits as well. What I personally love about this lens is that it can handle more than one task. I can walk around with this and shoot, and it's a little bit closer in than a normal length lens, but I also can get in really close and tight and isolate things, and it has a really close focus distance, so I can do like simple compositions with it as well. It is definitely one of my most used lenses for walking around, portraits, etc., because I really like its ability to get closer without needing like an extension tube or anything like that. This lens is really amazing for portraits and is by far my favorite portrait lens on the Hasselblad. It excels in like waist to chest up portraits, but you can also get in really close, and what happens is that increases the background compression and it creates a really pleasing background effect too. So it does only open up to an f4, but by being able to get in close, it really kind of enhances that background compression and really pleasing look. And if you want to, you can add the 21mm extension tube and you can get some really great portraits and results with that as well. Now, as a close-up lens, the sharpness of this thing it's just unsurpassed. From f4 all the way down to its lowest aperture of f32, where it does start to become diffraction limited, it is still really, really sharp. So for anything the size of, say, like a TV, well, TVs are getting pretty big, a decent sized TV or less, this lens it performs amazingly across the entire aperture range. So if I could have only one lens for my Hasselblad 500 CM, it would be this one, hands down. Now, I purchased this one on eBay about 6 years ago, a little over $500, and since it has been fully clean lubed, adjusted, and it has served me well and taken hundreds and if not thousands of some of my favorite images. And how you could save a little bit of money on this lens if you wanted to, or you could also spend more if you so choose. They did make a few different versions over the years. but the optical design of them was all the same. So they never changed the actual optics in the lenses. So there's a C version, a CF version, and then the newer ones, which are the CFI and the CFE. And again, the optics in them are all the same. Now, if you can find a C version in great shape, it optically is the same, but it is in a different shutter. So the maximum aperture ends up being 5.6. So that's the only drawback, but you can get that one for probably in the $300 range. So if you can find one in good shape and that maximum aperture isn't a deal breaker for you, you could definitely save some money that way. So the model I have is the CF, and this one can usually be found in good shape in the $500 to $600 range. And then they also make they made a newer version, which is the CFI and the CFE. And those lenses had a few upgrades, but again, the optics are identical. So they had supposedly a little better focus mechanism, a better multi-coating on the lens, and a few other things. But image-wise, you should be getting about the same, other than maybe the multi-coating. But I've had nothing but great. I've loved this. Like I said, this has been my favorite lens for the Hasselblad for quite some time. So if you want to see some more examples of shooting macro with the 500 cm extension tubes and this particular lens, you should check out this video right here.